We're here with the great Gary Gerould, the G-Man. And G-Man, I see back there, I see a couple of footballs. Is that from playing days, broadcasting days, all of the above? What do we got up there?
Oh, I'm not calling them.
One has a Niner logo on the top of one of them.
There's a Niner logo. That signed by Joe Montana, as a matter of fact. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Another one was one that I pilfered in the days when I was doing NFL football, which is, 100 years ago. Commissioner Pete Rozelle, at that time, his name on that football. So yeah, I got some footballs around here.
Yeah. Any time that you played football? Did you ever play football?
Briefly, high school, junior varsity, a part of a season, I don't know for what reason, decided, I want to go out and do this. And so I ended up playing in a couple of games as a defensive back and was scared to death that they might throw the ball in that direction. And I think I ran the football as a halfback twice in my stellar career. May have gained 3 yards. I'm not even sure. But it's really, really minimal. And it was really dumb.
No, were you known for your speed, your coverage out there as a corner, or what was it?
Absolutely. Blinding speed. I think I was 4.98 or something like that. No, realistically, it was probably more like 6.
Yeah, that's great. But in time though, to call some NFL games, how about some of those memories of being on that stage calling NFL football?
Yeah, I got to do about 8 years at NBC. I was, down on the totem pole. I was like the 4, 5, 6 rotation, and did a lot of games. At that time, they were AFC, and did a lot of games in the Midwest and the East. I think I did about 18 different teams over the course of 8 years, and roughly 50 games altogether. Worked with a variety of different analysts. For whatever reason, NBC thought that I got along with people pretty well, and that I was kind of a glue guy as well as the play-by-play guy. And so they tried a lot of different former players and coaches and so forth. And it was a special time. I absolutely loved it. It was intense. It was hard preparation. And at that time, of course, Jason, you didn't have access to the computer and all the stats and availability, clippings, one thing or another. You had to have all of that FedEx to you. You would find out on Monday if you had a game, and on Tuesday, packets of information would start arriving, and then Thursday or Friday was a travel day. Saturday was a production day. You met with the coaches, the coordinators, and then Sunday, of course, was game day, and you flew home Sunday night after the game. But it was at a time when the network still had a lot of influence, and you got treated really, really well. And I dearly loved it. The first game that I ever called was at Miami's old Orange Bowl, and it involved the Don Shula Dolphins and the Denver Broncos. And I remember that after I did that game, I went back to my hotel at the airport in Miami, and I was just totally overcome with emotion. I just thought, if I never get another chance to do this, I have proved to myself at least once that I am capable and have the talent that I can do this on this level. And it was an extraordinary experience, and it's one that I'll never forget.
I know it's tapes back then. Do you have any of the tapes?
I do have a handful somewhere stored away. And I don't even know, if they've weathered the test of time and if they'd still be playable or not. I just, it was, you think back about that and different experiences and different games and how much fun it was. And Sam Rutigliano, the former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, he and I were paired up a lot. And I loved working with a head coach as opposed to a former player, because coaches have dealt with virtually anything and everything, as you well know, in the game. And Rutigliano and I thought had a really good rapport. But there were a lot of terrific players along the way, and it was just an extraordinarily eventful and good time.
That's awesome. Well, G-Man, are you ready for a little celebrity pick six to test that football knowledge?
I don't know if I can live up to the standards of those who've preceded me in the first 3 weeks of the season, but I will certainly give it a shot.
Well, those standards: Katie Hunter 2-4, Bobby Jackson 3-3, Cameron Owasa 3-3. You win 4, G-Man. You're in first. But we want a 6-0 though. We want a 6-0 from the G-Man.
There we go.
All right. There you go. Well, let's start with the most local team, the 49ers. They will be at home Sunday night, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, still looking for their first win. Who do you got, Eagles or Niners?
Well, I think Mullins accounted for himself very, very nicely against the New York Giants last weekend. And, Phillies lost 2. They tied last week. They've lost by an average, I think, of 14 in the other 2 games. I can't go against the Niners, even with all the injury problems. I say San Francisco.
All right, so Niners it is. Next up, Bills and the Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders still doesn't sound right, but the Bills and the Raiders. What do you got there?
Well, I am still skeptical about the Raiders' ability to stop people on a consistent basis. I think the defense is suspect. Buffalo has been a high-scoring team in just 3 games. I think there are only 2 other teams that have scored more points than the Bills. So I say Buffalo. I think they're a 3-point favorite, but I think they'll take care of the Raiders, even though I still root for the Raiders and Gruden and company.
All right, next we move on to a game that I don't know if anybody really cares about, but we put it on our list. The Vikings and the Texans.
Vikings have given up so many points. I was looking at that earlier, Jason, and I think Atlanta is the only team that's given up more points in the first 3 games than Minnesota. That's really alarming. And as you mentioned, the Texans have had a tough schedule, even though they're 0-3. But I'm going with Houston. I'll take Houston.
All right. Next up, we've got Jacksonville and Cincinnati. This may have been one of the games they would have given you if you were down at 5th and 6th on the NBC totem pole back then. But what do you think about Jacksonville and the Bengals?
Well, as it turns out, I did games in both of those places. Jacksonville was interesting, and I remember the game in Cincinnati because Joe Namath was my broadcast partner.
Wow.
In that particular game. So that was an interesting weekend to say the least. Cincinnati's been involved in a couple of close games. They have lost 2 and tied 1. The 2 they lost were by a total of 8 points. I'm going to go with the Bengals. Okay.
Colts and the Bears. Bears have escaped a couple of times here, but what do you think, Colts and Bears?
Well, Nick Foles is now the man, they say, in Chicago, and it's interesting that they've won 3 straight. This is one that's I've had the most time wrestling with, the hardest time wrestling with. Colts are only giving up 14, 15 points a game, which I think is the best in the NFL. So they're trying to win for the 3rd straight time. Chicago trying to win for the 4th straight time and stay undefeated. I'm going with the Colts.
And then the last one, maybe the best game on the card for the weekend, one of the better ones, Patriots and the Chiefs. Chiefs look really good on Monday night. So what do you have in this one?
Well, as dangerous as Cam Newton is, he's no Tom Brady in my mind. And Patrick Mahomes has been obviously sensational, and Kansas City they just seem to be deep in every area, facet of the game. I say they continue and they go 4-0.
All right. G-Man, there it is. Six opportunities. There's your chance to go 6-0. Be the first one to be 6-0.
I'd frankly be happy if I get a couple of them.
G-Man, good luck. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Jason. This is fun.